Tropical rainforests may seem far removed from our own lives, but in many ways we reap the benefits of the abundance and diversity of rainforest life. Many of the foods we eat were originally discovered in rainforests, particularly fruits like oranges, grapefruit, bananas, and pineapple. And fruits are only part of the story. Chocolate comes from the cocoa plant, and sugar from sugarcane. Vanilla, coffee beans, ginger, and cashews are all from rainforest plants.
Rubber comes from a whitish sap called latex that comes from rubber trees. In the Amazon, rubber tappers still collect this sap by cutting the bark and letting the sap run into cups. Native people in the Amazon have discovered other uses for rainforest plants. They tip their arrows and spears with curare, a poisonous chemical which comes from a vine and causes paralysis. Scientists have found that this same chemical can be used for medical purposes to relax muscles during surgery. Medical researchers have obtained useful drugs from hundreds of different rainforest plants. Among other things, some of these drugs have been used to treat different kinds of cancer. Researchers are also studying substances produced by animals. In Central and South America, colorful poison dart frogs secrete extremely powerful toxins that affect nerves and muscles. Another resource from the rainforest is timber. Tropical woods, such as teak and mahogany, are used for products from furniture to chopsticks.
But logging this timber poses a serious threat. Rainforests throughout the world are being cut at an alarming rate, not only for timber, but to clear land for farming and ranching. In Brazil, for example, a highway has been built through the Amazon, opening up previously inaccessible areas to thousands of farmers. The effects have been devastating. From 1979 to 1990, over 5 million acres of forest in the Amazon were cleared each year. Among other consequences of this destruction, tribes of native people that have lived in harmony with the rainforest for centuries are being displaced. They may soon have nowhere to go. In Central America, much of the rainforest has been cut to create pasture for cattle. The soil is so thin, however, that it may be able to support grazing or farming for only a few years. Erosion also has become a problem. Without trees to protect the soil from torrential rains, the exposed soil washes away.
The effects of destruction of rainforests can be far-reaching. Life in the rainforests is diverse, but it is also fragile. In a given section of forest, there may be many species of animals and plants, but very few individuals of any one species. Destroying even a small part of a rainforest may mean that all the individuals of a species are lost. There are also intricate relationships between different species, including partnerships between specific plants and animals. For example, monkeys like this howler monkey eat fruit, and in turn many fruit trees depend on monkeys to disperse their seeds. While such partnerships are not unique to rainforests, the destruction of just one species of plant or animal can threaten the survival of many others. This is Werner Andre, a Costa Rican naturalist.
This enormous biodiversity that you find in the neotropics is very badly affected when you lose some individuals of different species, because everybody depends on everybody else. Once you lose one, you may start a chain reaction that will go step by step, creating a domino effect.
Destruction of rainforests has other consequences. Rainforests receive almost half of the Earth's rainfall. Much of the water is absorbed by plants. These plants then release moisture back into the air through a process called transpiration. This moisture collects in clouds and returns again as rain. But as rainforests are cut down, this cycle is disrupted. When it rains, there are few trees and plants to capture and absorb the water. In some areas, the climate has become drier because the water isn't being recycled back into the atmosphere. Some scientists even think that this has an effect on weather patterns worldwide. The burning of rainforests may affect the world's climate in other ways. Burning wood releases large amounts of carbon dioxide gas into the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide and some other gases trap heat from the sun. There is disagreement among scientists, but some are concerned that the burning of rainforests will contribute to global warming. Global warming is an increase in the temperature of the Earth's atmosphere that results from greater levels of carbon dioxide and some other gases.
There are many reasons for preserving the Earth's rainforests, but it is also important to understand the needs of the countries that contain these forests. Take Costa Rica. In many ways, this small country has done much to preserve its natural environment. It has established an extensive system of national parks that protect many of its forests. Costa Rica also devotes over 25% of its national budget to education. As part of their schooling, students learn about the importance of the country's ecology. But Costa Rica's population is rapidly growing, and many of its people are poor. This puts continuing pressure on the forests that remain unprotected. For many, cutting down forests in order to farm or raise cattle seems the only way to make a living. Also, Costa Rica is burdened with a large debt owed to other countries and desperately needs to find ways to raise money. Some see selling timber as a way of raising much-needed cash. With such problems in mind, the Costa Rican government and some non-government organizations are looking for solutions. This is Irene Araya Ortiz, a lawyer with the Ministry of Natural Resources, Energy and Mines.
Our country is now trying to achieve an equilibrium between the development of the forest and preservation of its natural resources. For this purpose, we have established a judicial department that is responsible for farmers. One of its aims is to find ways for small landowners to use the land that are acceptable so that we can still protect the natural environment.
In one approach, agricultural experts are teaching farmers how to plant trees where rainforests have already been cut down. Here, farmers are being shown an experimental tree farm. While such places cannot come close to matching the diversity of plant life in a rainforest, the trees can later be harvested for timber and the land replanted again. This reduces the pressure to cut down trees in the forests that remain undamaged. Costa Rica is also trying to promote ways of logging in the rainforests themselves that will protect them from long-term and possibly irreversible damage. One method they are experimenting with involves cutting selected trees only in narrow strips of land. The unaffected forest next to these strips provides seeds that will regenerate the cleared areas with hundreds of different species. Eventually, it is hoped, the land will return to its original state.
The rubber tappers in the Amazon provide another model for using the resources of the rainforests. Tapping the rubber trees for their latex sap doesn't damage the trees. The sap is an example of a sustainable rainforest product. Sustainable means that it can be obtained over and over again without causing harm. Other examples of sustainable products include fruits like mangoes and different kinds of nuts.
Several countries have started to promote tourism to rainforests. By attracting visitors from around the world, protected parks in these countries provide income and jobs for local people as rangers, researchers, and guides. There is a risk, however, that poorly managed tourism will damage the environment. The aerial tram in Costa Rica is an example of how this risk can be avoided. This is Donald Perry, who was among the first scientists to explore the canopy and who is responsible for building the tram.
We expect that in the future there will be more and more people wanting to go see sensitive habitats. And we want to keep those habitats open to people, but we don't want the people affecting nature. So we have designed a system that takes people into nature without causing damage to the habitat. We like to say here that we put the people in the cage and not the animals.
Many people share responsibility for the destruction or survival of the Earth's rainforests, even people who live far away from them. For example, we've seen that huge areas of rainforests in Central America have been cut down for pasture to raise cattle. However, most of the beef is shipped to the United States to meet America's appetite for fast food hamburgers. Without the demand for this meat, thousands of square miles of rainforest would have been spared. Similarly, most of the timber from rainforests is shipped to other countries, particularly Japan and the United States.
One way every person can help save the rainforests is by not buying products that promote their destruction. For example, we can avoid buying furniture and other products made from tropical woods. It is difficult to know where the beef in a hamburger comes from, but we can write to fast food companies to try to find out. We can also write to Congress to encourage our elected representatives to pass laws requiring companies to identify on labels where their beef comes from. Another thing we can do is recycle used paper. Recycling reduces the demand for timber from rainforests and other kinds of forests. Finally, we can donate money to organizations that are trying to preserve rainforests. Costa Rica, for example, has a children's rainforest preserve that has been purchased with donations from students of many different countries. What is the risk of doing nothing? Listen to naturalist Werner Andre.
Right now we're losing about an acre a second of this virgin forest. On that rate, in the next 20 years, it's not going to be any of this left. And we haven't even learned what is in here. What kind of medicines, all kind of marvelous things that are hiding in here, just waiting for somebody to discover it, if we let it survive.
Since this video began, probably over 3,500 acres of rainforest have been cut down or burned. Destroyed along with these forests are plants that range from emergent trees that are over 160 feet tall to orchids and other epiphytes.
As the rainforests are destroyed, more and more species of animals are threatened with extinction. And still more might be lost. Perhaps a rainforest plant or animal holds the chemical secret to a cure for cancer or AIDS.
By destroying these forests, we may be permanently damaging the land. We may even be changing the Earth's weather patterns.
But there is still time to save many of the rainforests that remain. There is still time to save these treasuries of the Earth's greatest asset, the diversity of its life.